Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Babbling Iron Show, where today we are going to be doing the preview on the Wolves game. So, Sloth, before we get into all the nitty gritty, how are you feeling about the game? Feeling confident?
I think I'd be feeling a lot less confident if Wolves didn't look as bad as they do in front of goal. I think we should get something from it. I think we should get a point. But Wolves have added, and they're starting to click a bit. They've got a quality new manager, and against
even a new player as well out of Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, against Liverpool, they looked really, really good. I think they can count themselves really unlucky, and I know there's a lot of controversy going around about their winner that was chalked off. But they can count themselves really unlucky that they didn't beat Liverpool at Anfield.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. I'd be feeling very confident if they hadn't put in that performance against Liverpool, but I still think they could be a bit toothless up top, and we just need to take advantage of that.
Yeah, so one of the things we're saying about this game as well is, is it a make or break game for Moyes? East End Views is already saying Moyes out, and also thinks it'll be 2-0 win for Wolves tomorrow with a point not being enough. But do you kind of share the sentiments that tomorrow's game is make and break for Moyes? And obviously we'll then get into the actual game, but do you actually feel it is that serious? It is make or break. It is a point is not enough. A win should secure his exit. Do you see it as definite as that tomorrow?
No, I think a properly run club would basically say you need to get 3 points. There needs to be a real kick up the backside here, or I'm afraid it's time for us to part ways. But as you and I have said quite a lot off this podcast, even on it, it seems like we're just so far behind in terms of how we run our club, and I have zero confidence that they will take that decision. I know some people might not agree with that. I do think that if we were to lose, he should 100% go. I just think that you can't have added the way we have, but also you can't deny the chance to add and bring in players like Moyes has done on top of the lack of results, because it's just costing us. And I think my heart says that if we do lose, he'll go. But my head's basically saying, I don't think they will. I think the owners will just keep him around. I don't think Krasinski will be very happy, but I can't see them sacking him.
Yeah. So before we kind of get into again, we just kind of a couple of points here. We have the players, but we started negatively by Moyes, and I'm going to keep it tight because going to win. Again, couldn't agree more. And I'm sloppy as well. A new manager's time in this window is running down each day. So valid points that if we procrastinate and we say we do lose this game, and then obviously then we go on to the next game, we lose that Everton game, say, or even if we win that game, the window's almost gone for if we was going to bring in a new manager. So, with every passing day, with every game, we are obviously eating into the time in which someone else can come in and try and make improvements to the team. But leaving that to one side for 1 minute, obviously let's kind of look, at the game and kind of look at where both teams are. So currently this season, both teams are not doing well at all. As we well know with ourselves, both played 18 games. There's only really a couple of places separating us by a single point. So again, this is a massive 6-pointer really. We have one more win than Wolves, which obviously we're really struggling under Bruno Lage, but obviously now had a change in manager and have started to see some improvements on the field. So it's not going to be an easy game, and it being West Ham, well, we're going to predict the lineup, but I think when we say predict the lineup, what we're saying is we're going to show tomorrow's lineup because I think we can all probably pick what Moyes is going to do. So, when we're talking around how we're probably going to line up, I think probably the only dubious one is maybe the centre forward position in light of the news that's been happening or been coming out this week. Hopefully Zuma is fit. I think arguably that would be the back five. I think that midfield three again will remain as it has in the last few games. Ben Rama and Bowen. Again, I think it's always a toss-up between Ben Rama and Fornals. So I think these one either go either way. And obviously Antonio over Scamacca. That could be obviously Scamacca. We don't know if he's fully fit. It's not really been kind of alluded to. So again, he may play by default. So when you look at that as a team, does it... And obviously I know I've already asked, does it fill you with much hope? But do you think when you look at that team, there's kind of weaknesses that Wolves are going to target and going to go at?
Yeah, 100%. I think Cresswell's probably the obvious one. They have got a selection of really good wingers. They have got pace in their side. And you only have to look at the addition of Kuna to really see that, this is not the toothless side that we faced a few months ago back at the Olympic Stadium, and they only just brought, this was Diego Costa's debut as well. They only just brought him in. It's not going to be the side. Now, the lucky thing, or the thing that we have in our favour, is we will have Aguerd and Zuma back. I think it's been pretty much confirmed that he is fit. Whether he comes back into the squad or not, first thing, is a different matter altogether, but I feel a lot more confident with him. Pretty much a sub. Weaknesses everywhere. I think the problem is that we have that really strong back pairing. A lot of pace. We can manage those players like Kuna, or we can manage potentially Traore if he comes on. But as East Side Views is saying, our fullbacks are so weak, and against the likes of Podence, whoever Wolves decide, really, I really worry about either side against them. I think Cresswell has not impressed me at all this season. As we keep saying, he's a liability, particularly against pace. But I think the saving grace we do have is that our attacking options are stronger than theirs. Even with the addition of Kuna, I think we do have stronger attacking options.
Yeah, and on that, obviously, we're being quite down on our team, but rightly so. We haven't necessarily seen enough from the team to kind of get us excited. But, let's look at the positives within the team. So, we have started to see more connection between Rice and obviously Paqueta as well. They seem to be getting much more kind of functional use out of the pair together. Souček is Souček. I think what he will do, he will help us press. And looking at the way they have tried to play this season and looking at the last couple of games where they have been caught is from when they try to play out of the back. So if we do, as we have in the last few games, we try to play a bit higher and press, then we could get some joy out of Wolves and then obviously catch them as they're kind of disjointed and out of shape. If we can obviously trap them and get the ball off them quite high. Again, as you say, the centre-back pairing, obviously they haven't played together, but they are individually very strong and good players. Obviously, Aguerd is going to do nothing but help us in possession. As we saw in previous games, he will take that risk with those passes, which is great. And as bad and as good as Soufal has been, he will give us an outlet at least on the right. So if Bowen isn't involved in play, we will still have an outlet out there. But it's, again, you kind of, you look at it and go, there's a lot of ifs, buts and maybes. At the moment, you kind of look at Wolves look more positive, as you say, because they've been making moves in the transfer market, because they've been a bit unlucky in the last couple of games. Obviously, the last win came against Everton, but played very well against, obviously, Liverpool. Did okay against Aston Villa. Obviously, they went out in the cup against Nottingham Forest, but there seems to be more positivity there. They have had a win. They have kind of stop the rot, so to speak, in some respects, and then bringing in new players. So, what do you feel we need to do in which to break down this Wolves team and to kind of capitalise on their weaknesses? Because obviously they do have weaknesses as well.
I think it would depend on their centre backs. Obviously, I'm a massive fan of Kilman. I think he's a really good. He's one of those modern centre backs, and I hate that term, but he's a really good ball player and he's comfortable, good first touch, good technique, but of course he's got all the physical attributes that. We're really going to have to try and basically hope that either they're off the boil or that defence is not fit, because as I said, they've got, I think against us at home, they played a back five. Neves was in the back three, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, he was, yes. I sat in the middle so he could spray passes, yeah.
Yeah. And, if that happens, then I think that's a real boost. My kind of worry, and I don't know if we're going to touch on this later on, but I don't think Antonio should be anywhere near the football pitch, given what we've heard. Particularly, Wolves are one of the sides that are interested in signing him, because I don't trust him at all. I don't really understand why Moyes would as well, given what we've heard. And I do think Bob is right there. I think Fornals atop Paqueta Rice should be tried. That is one of those that is, to me, against a team like Wolves, you keep a lot more possession, you can try a lot more, create a lot more, but I just don't think Antonio should be anywhere near the pitch, because he just doesn't read these passes. He can't read the likes of Paqueta's through balls, and we see that in some of the stats where players like Benrahma and Paqueta give the ball away.
It's a valid point. As we've all seen in the last few days, the rumours, obviously they're only rumours, and unless they can be outright confirmed, so we have to take it with a pinch of salt. But let's also be honest, this isn't the first time Antonio has acted out. He did this previously with Bilic as well, where he became quite, I think after he got his contract, his attitude drastically changed until he was, let's put it politely, pulled to one side and told to change his attitude.
Shape up.
Yeah, pretty much. But again, obviously the rumours are that he has been caught in friction. He has been trying to create division, all because there is competition for his place. Now, healthy competition is what everyone needs. Making someone feel a bit uncomfortable, but ultimately on the side of I'm making you uncomfortable because I want this to be my spot, and I'm letting you know that I'm always going to be there is one thing, but to go to the realms which it has been going just speaks of a really unprofessional, petty and childish mentality. And we've seen that on the pitch in his activity. He's only interested when the ball comes to him, is the only time he shows any initiative, shows any desire. But even then, it's about him. And I keep going back to it because it's an utter embarrassment that a Premier League player does this. He takes a swing and a miss, completely doesn't connect with the ball rolls to a defender when there was an easy pass to play Bowen in. So, quite frankly, his attitude at the moment is all, and from what I see on the pitch, is all me, me, me. And in the situation we're in, we can't have players like that. Now, I know a lot of people look at Mickey and go, well, he's our leading top scorer. None of that is relevant, quite frankly. It does not matter. Quite frankly, people want to say he's a legend. He's not fit enough to lace the boots of Paolo Di Canio. And he's not even considered a legend when you talk about players within this club. He is not in the same echelon of Bobby Moore, Trevor Brooking. They are legends. Even Frank Lampard Sr. as well. They are legends. He is not a legend. He's never going to have a stand after him. Never going to have a statue after him. Quite frankly, he is just our leading goal scorer because we've spent 11 years buying shit. So if we'd have bought a proper striker, he wouldn't be the man that people say he is. He'd be a very good squad player, but he would not be the man. And yeah, his attitude is probably why I'm being a lot more honest about it. But the truth is, he's an average player who's had a very good purple patch. It happens for nearly every player. They have a period of their career where they are absolutely on fire. It's happened for him. Great. Now he's got a bit of pressure on him and a bit of competition. He's bottled it and crumbled. So is he really a legend? Is he really that good a player? Clearly not. But anyway, I'm going to part that on Antonio because I'm done with him. To be honest. Like, it's just that's how I feel about it. If he does start, the attitude is just, I'm just kind of, I feel like we're almost going to play with 10 men, especially out of possession. He'll try and win the ball comes to him, but out of possession, we're almost on our own. The other players on their own.
I think as well, like there's a lot to be said about the attitudes in modern football, but this is a guy who's friends with Callum Wilson, who we all know has also tweeted out things like a touch of magic, or said that after a game. Now, that could be considered a bit of banter, but how far do we want to go down the rabbit hole with this? If Antonio goes to Wolves or wants to go to Wolves, as is rumoured, then what's to say he goes, I wanted to go to Wolves, so I didn't play very well against them. Yep. And therefore Wolves go above West Ham in the league. Now, I'm very well aware that is hypothetical, it's hyperbole, and I don't want to believe that Antonio would do that. However, I also didn't really want to believe that he would, freeze out his competition and act as childish as we have both heard rumoured. I will.
It's alleged. We've heard this allegedly. That's how he's been. So again, we're not saying it's truth, but again,
we have heard that he's been very immaturely. He has been deliberately ignoring and getting other players to ignore Scamacca. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. I'm not I can't see everything, I'm afraid. It's mostly just European football that I sit up and watch. But, I've heard it from multiple people. And I think in that case, we have to really think about who do we want on the pitch? Mm-hmm. Is it going to be a young Italian striker with a point to prove? Or someone who could be looking to move away?
Exactly. And I think, again, this point about Antonio out, put it towards Moffey, obviously, so we've said he's looking unlikely, unfortunately, with
Leon.
That Nice looked like, I think it's Nice, isn't it? Is it or Leon?
Oh no.
Anyway, Nice or Neon, one of the two are pretty much, confirmed, or at least have some personal terms kind of set. And there is talk in Iki that he wants to stay in France, so not a great for us if we are going for Moffey. But again, the temptation and the money, there's the temptation of money, let's be honest, that the Premier League can offer is something hard to turn down. And we do have a European competition as well, which I don't believe Nice have. I believe Nice are now out. So again, there is a couple of factors. We just need to very and well and truly show our hand and really push for it. But yeah, at the moment, it's not looking a great window because we aren't seeing development like the others around us. But let's hope. And the last thing we'll say on the Antonio thing is exactly this. There's no smoke without fire with these rumours. So, yeah. But anyway, we've digressed massively. But again, I guess it's an important point because it alludes to the morale in the squad, it leading up to what is ultimately a pivotal game, not only for the club in this season, but also for Moyes as well. So, if we go into this game without the right mentality of all 11 players, now what we've said about that press has been a lot better in the last few games. Now also relying on Antonio to come with the right attitude in the game if he does play. Now, obviously, you mentioned he could play badly because it's like, I want out and make the point of, well, whatever, I don't care. Conversely, he could then do the opposite of going all out to prove, I'm the man you need to bring in, Wolves. I doubt that is going to happen because, to be honest, we haven't seen that all season.
Yeah.
But do you feel that some of these rumours that have come around, the fact that we are looking at probably 3 players going out and 2 of those potentially being involved in the game in Soufal and Antonio just shows where we are as a club at the moment, and that maybe we should look to others like Johnson, maybe even Ashby at right back, because they are gagging for games but not getting them, whereas other players are maybe getting the nod because of their senior status in the team as opposed to the merit of their play.
I think it's a very worrying tone with West Ham at the moment, and particularly Moyes. Like, you know, we only have to look at the fact that Dan Juma's attitude is questioned. The guy who's scoring in the Champions League, played in the Championship as well, so, you know, he's proven to some degree in England, but he gets tarred with this bad attitude, and yet we're now hearing things about Antonio and hearing things about, you know, just certain figureheads in the dressing room. Now, do I think that the selection is bad? Yeah, I think it's been bad for a long time, and our best 11 is really worrying, because we have got areas that are very strong, but then we have got incredibly weak areas who don't even make it into other, even, like, you know, you look at Everton and the trouble they're in, and they've got that young, who's their young left back from Ukraine,
Mikolenko, the guy what I was been talking about for years before he signed for Everton. Yeah.
But now, would any West Ham fan out there at the moment say on this season Cresswell has been better than Mikolenko, or that they would choose Mikolenko? Now, maybe I'm being harsh, because obviously Everton are crap, but it's one of those things where you have to think, why is he still getting picked? And more worryingly, why on earth did we buy Emerson in the summer?
And we're doing a Masuaku, we're trying to put him in left wing as well. We're just again square pegs round holes.
If he's not playing, why on earth did we sign him? Why did we not go out and get a proper left back, someone to just replace Cresswell? So I am quite worried about the selection. I think, you know, I've said many times, I like Souček. I like him as a person. I think he's a top professional. He is getting hammered by the fans, and you don't hear about him causing problems. He plays and he runs his socks off. Whether or not you think he can pass a ball 5 yards, that's irrelevant. But he works hard, and he does that. He doesn't take an air swing at shots and then laugh about it, go over to the opposition and go, "Oh, wasn't that funny?" Like, it's a case of people are getting mad at the wrong people in this squad, and we're making excuses. And I think that also goes up to the manager. You know, the manager is making excuses and repeatedly picking players who, just to be honest with you, don't deserve it and haven't deserved it for a long time.
Yeah, and I think, again, it's a fair comment about Souček. Yeah. Would you have him in a squad? Absolutely. Do you want him as a starter at the moment? Unfortunately, no. You would rather have Fornals in that position, as we've said many a time. And when you look at as you say, some of those selections don't quite make sense. It's not maybe some players maybe getting their chance well enough to do it. But again, there is limitations and unbalances in that squad as well. And then when you kind of look, obviously, forward into the game, also, we are going to have to try and hurt Wolves. I do think there are ways in which we can hurt them, bringing it back to the actual kind of the game itself. As I say, I think if we do press them high and try and catch them in possession and set traps for them high up the pitch, I think then we can get some joy, because they do tend to try and play out from the back and take some risks. Obviously, they do have some pace with the likes of Pondent, so we do have to be wary, and obviously Traore. But again, if we set up in the right way, we can try and nullify those things. We have nullified the likes of Traore before. We have nullified Pondents. But again, it's about the collective playing together, and that's kind of why we digressed, really, today, in that there is obviously an issue in the collective at this point. And as you say, there's also some misdirected anger, I think, at certain players, and they're in some ways becoming banded camps of, I support this player, I don't support that player.
One of the really kind of disappointing things for me is that we could go out from the kickoff, and we could have Rice, Paqueta, Fornals in a 3, and we could play that really pressing, pressing high-paced football, and look to really make Wolves like force the error and press them, work them hard. Then after 70 minutes, if you want to, you can bring on Souček. If we need a goal, bring on Souček and just let him run about. Let him run about, cause those problems, and he can get his head on the end of anything. But unfortunately, the way we're playing, it seems to be the opposite. And that approach isn't working for 70 minutes. So why waste it? Like, why waste that time? And I think it will come down to what team we start with, and also how we are set up, because it seems to be all fart and no poo for West Ham at the moment. It's literally just, we look good in stutters and really brief moments, and there's nothing to back it up.
Yeah, I think, as you say, there's this need for the individual to do something, which we've seen with Paqueta, in that he has tried to make those little things happen. Obviously, we're still not seeing Bowen doing what Bowen was doing last year, but really, in actual fact, if I'm being completely honest, Bowen is doing what he did last year, but he's not scoring or assisting. So what's happening is we're now looking at Bowen and going, oh, he's out of form. In actual fact, it's pretty much the same form he had last year. If you look at statistically, it's pretty, it's a lot of parallels there. He's just not putting the ball in the back of the net. He's not assisting. So again, it kind of obscures what a player does, because you are looking at essentially the end product as opposed to the whole game. Obviously, there's a lot of reliance on Benrahma, a lot of reliance on Paqueta. I think looking at, say, the Everton game, one of the things that really stood out was how Wolves are so troubled by set pieces. Now, if we had our set pieces on point as we had last year, then I would say that's definitely an avenue we need to look to exploit. We need to essentially play for set pieces, try and hit them on those, and obviously try and press them early. But then if they break us, break the first line, then obviously we then drop off. But it's one of those games where you look at and go, yes, we could get the points here. We arguably have a better team. If you went man for man, you will probably pick some players on Wolves over ours. But I think largely you would take a majority of our squad in the game. So I guess this is the point where we kind of go, what are we saying from a kind of a score prediction in this one? What are you thinking?
I'll start off and I say I think it will be absolute dross. I can't be in a good game, and I can maybe see us sneaking a 2-1 and hold on for a little bit longer. But I can't see it being good football. I can't see it being a convincing win.
Yeah, for some reason I've just got the feeling we're not going to get the win. I don't. I know I said that last time we got the draw, which I said. This time I do feel we will come a cropper. I don't think we'll maybe take it in the right way early enough, and then we'll find ourselves having to chase the game. We maybe not be 1-0 down, but I think we'll be trying to chase the game and get ourselves back into it. That will ultimately get caught from a little bit like a mistake, someone making a silly pass, someone making an error of judgment, which we've seen, especially in the Leeds game. We saw 2 huge errors of judgment as well as other terrible play in the lead up to their goals. But I just think Wolves might nick it, and we're left there then going, well, what do we do? Now, I know what I would do. I know what you would do, Sloth, but it's whether the club now think whether they're going to do it. For us, if we said in this one, it's make or break for Moyes. That's probably our own personal view on the channel as opposed to the board. But would you say even a point is good enough for Moyes to at least get, I guess, a stay of execution and go on to the Everton game?
I don't think it's good enough. You need to be beating the teams around you. But, it's whether West Ham think it's good enough. Do I think it's good enough for West Ham? I think they will take it.
Yeah, to be honest, I agree. I think they'll set a target of get 4 points in the next game. Then they'll set another set of targets, and then another set, and then another set. We've seen it before. following very similar patterns, unfortunately, as we've seen. But we'll wrap it up there. We're not expecting a fantastic game. There are some problems in our dressing room at the moment. There are players looking to leave as well, which obviously does not help the situation that we're currently within. There are ways we can hurt Wolves, but we are going to have to play the way we did with Leeds in terms of out of possession, but improve as well our defensive structure from restarts. We need to hit them on set pieces. And I think really we need a near perfect game, we just need to grind out a scrappy win. If we can grind out a scrappy win, I think that will give them so much confidence, but it's whether we can do that. And at the moment, it doesn't seem like a Moyes team that has that capability to do so. But Sloth has gone for a more optimistic prediction. I've gone for a 1-0 defeat. But obviously, we always hope that the Hammers win. But we're going to sign off with that really bleak ending to the review. But please do follow us on Twitter. If you do like, I admit it probably isn't the most happiest one to kind of sit there and like, but please do like and, follow us and so on. And again, we really hope the Irons win. We need to kind of start getting points on the board. And I would take a very scrappy, horrible 1-0 victory coming off of some player's left bollock. For all I care, it doesn't matter how to go in as long as it goes in. But with that said, we'll end there. And one last thing to say, Sloth, and that is, come on, you Irons.